Good morning. Good morning. Hello. I miss everybody. So today, actually yesterday, I was in the garden and I was digging and grabbing soil and shoveling. And I woke up this morning and my hands were a little bit sore. Some of those grip strength muscles. So I started to massage them and started to wake them up. And I thought that it would be a great thing to share. So, our magical hand. So, grip strength is one of those things that we lose as we age. It is a sign of good health, and there is so much going on in our hands. So, the brain thinks about the body in a much different way than our physical form. So if you've ever heard of the homunculus man, the brain perceives the world through our eyes. So we have humongous eyes. The homunculus man has these great big eyes, great big lips, huge ears, and giant hands, because that's how we explore our world. We have a tiny little body. So I'll post a picture of that on my website so you guys can all have a look. But check it out, the homunculus man. So that shows the importance of our beautiful hands. And there's a lot going on in our hands. So we have a lot of muscles that are connected to the elbow. So we have flexors and extensors. There's other muscles that when we bend our elbow, those ones help with grip and extension. There are the two bones in the arm, and they meet up with two rows of carpal bones. So let's just see if I can remember this. So there is a scaphoid here. It's quite a big bone. And trapezium. Then in the middle row here, kind of in line with the third finger, if you flex your wrist a little bit, your finger will fall into a little divot. So that's where the lunate is. If you are not feeling a divot there and you're feeling a little bone, you could need an adjustment in your carpal bones. Over here is triquetrum. It's a funny name. And then on the second row, we have trapezium, trapezoid, capitate, and hamate. Now that's only 7. So the other one is easy to locate from the palm. So from the corner of your hand, about an inch, you'll feel it's like a little pea-shaped bone, and this is called the pisiform. It sits kind of on top of hamate. There's mine right there. So those are the carpal bones. And then we have metacarpals and then phalanges, 1, 2, 3. And these are all connected with saddle joints. So that helps us move our fingers more, right? That helps with all the little fine motor movements. Saddle joints, if you imagine a ball in a cup, they go this way, and they also go this way, and then they do some circular motions as well. So you can check that out if you want. Just grab your index finger, move it in a circle both ways, see how it moves up and down. In between our bones of our hands here, we have these amazing muscles called lumbricals. So I always like to kind of feel them activate a little bit with some widening and closing of the fingers. We have them in our feet as well, and they're very interesting because they don't just attach to bones. They start and end on tendons. So it kind of gives another element. Imagine a dancer up in point on her toes. It's not just the bones that are stacked, but it's these lumbricals that are activated as well, and so many other muscles. So trigger points in your lumbricals are really common. So if you've ever felt like on the inside of your finger here, all the way down, because they're in between all the bones, like a burning or like a little numbness or tenderness, it could be a knot in your lumbricals. So go ahead and feel that. Just go in between where the bones are. You can start here and work your way down, and you might run into a little tender spot. Don't be afraid. You can push on it. That's good. Excellent job. So we are going to mobilize the hands and the carpal bones and do some imagery because I love that. And then I'm going to show you a few quick strengthening exercises. So everything starts with the breath. So how are we going to breathe into our hands today? There's a lot of different ways to do it. Sometimes I like to take a nice breath in and imagine my cuticles being really cold, or breathing through your fingernails. Okay, now I want you to notice how your hands feel, how the wrists feel, how the shoulders, the elbows. Take a minute. Try some of these exercises on just one hand, so maybe you can compare it to the other one afterwards. This time, as you breathe in, I want you to imagine little strings, like the very, very tip of your fingers, strings attached to your fingers, and let the strings kind of, as you inhale, let the strings bring your hands up into space. Makes my hands feel really alive when I do that. Play with it a few times. So one more time, I want you to think about these carpal bones, these two rows. Imagine them like two rows of little cubes. And close your eyes. Go ahead, close them. And take a nice breath in. And as you breathe out, imagine that there's a fog kind of coming out, or a smoke, or a steam coming out from in between every carpal bone. This makes my wrist soften and feel really loose. So there's a great mobilizing technique, and my good friend Linda came over this morning and she showed it to me, so I'm so grateful for her. So we're going to put our two wrists together, and you're just going to go ahead and get creative. Keep your wrists together and see if you can move one hand to the top and then move it to the bottom. Now, in this doesn't seem like you're doing very much, but this shows how a lot of movement is initiated from the back. So see if you can feel how the muscles of your shoulder and the muscles of your back are moving to create this movement. Feel how they're activating and relaxing. Good job. So play with that one. Right away I can feel the space between my shoulders start to soften, and some blood coming into my arms. Maybe let me know in the comments below what you're feeling. So the bones of the arms, this is a nice little exercise for the wrist as well. So there are two bones, and they go straight. But as we supinate and pronate, so supinate and pronate, and this is easily done with the wrist bent, with the elbow bent. Imagine these two bones twisting, so like a towel wringing itself out. And let the wringing initiate the movement. Really good. You might hear some clicking or some cracking, and that's okay. We're just mobilizing things. Sometimes that snapping can just be ligaments moving over top of bones. Don't be afraid. So there are a lot of muscles. Some of them make a fist, and you can make a fist and squeeze it really hard. Take a nice breath in, hold it, and relax, and feel the blood kind of rush back into your hand. That's a really nice one, and it's pretty simple. If you have a ball, you know I love the yoga tune-up balls. You can squeeze a ball. So for me, when I squeeze a ball though, I feel more of the muscles of my forearm activate. And when I squeeze it with my elbow straight, I get more isolation in the muscles of the hand. So try it out, play with it. Be your own detective. What works best for you? The other thing that I wanted to tell you about was this action. We're on our devices, and our thumbs are always in this opposition, right? Opposition. This is what makes humans so cool. So a lot of people have, a weakness in the muscles that do the opposite, right? So how do you strengthen that? Well, a little elastic. You can just put it on your hand. Put it on your hand. So between the pinky and the thumb, and bring the elastic apart. This is going to strengthen some of the tendons back here and some of the muscles that help you bring your finger out of opposition. Reposition. Another good tool you can do with this elastic is wind it around all of your fingers. So it's going to look a little bit like a weave from a carpet. So I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. And this is going to help with the lumbrical strength. So you can separate your fingers and then let them come back together. Separate your fingers and let them come back together. If you want to work on a different part of the muscles or challenge yourself a little bit, you can bring your hand into this position. So you're just bent here at the knuckles, and then try and bring your hands apart. This is a good strengthening exercise too. So play with it. Notice how it feels. Be good to yourself. If it hurts, don't do it. And then compare. How does this hand feel compared to the one that you didn't do? Does it feel more awake? Does it feel more alive? Does it feel stronger? Let me know in the comments below. I love you. Have a glorious day.